Yo, it's SmallmouthCrush. Get ready. A long video talking about how to get set up right when you're ordering a boat, the steps I take as far as getting equipment, getting your new boat set up perfectly. It's important. Spreadsheets, lists, just hours and hours of stuff. And I did all the hard work for you. I'm going to try to put links below and get you guys heading in the right direction when it comes to putting together your new boat order and all the different steps that I take. If you're new to the channel, we talk a lot about bass fishing, tournament fishing, practice. We have lives every week. My co-host, Epic Eric, got probably the world's largest tackle collection, knows every bait ever made. Very entertaining dude. We got a lot of stuff going on. One-on-ones. You get to talk to me. I don't even know. Follow me on Instagram, SmallmouthCrush. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Help share and support this channel. TheRealShot.com is where you can get all your tackle needs. If you use the code SmallmouthCrush15, you get 15% off your order. Check out the description. We got all kinds of goodies for you. Let's get in to how to get ready to purchase a boat. I don't even know what to call this thing. Let's just get into it. It's going to be a long one, guys. Hang out. Stay with me. I'm excited for this one. A video I haven't really done in the past. I've always done a boat kind of build video of how I set up my boat for each season. But of course I'm going to do that. Definitely going to do that because I think my Nitro Z21 2021 model is going to be set up perfectly to cover everything I need to do as a deep water offshore angler. And I cannot wait. However, we got a little bit of time before that happens. I wanted to make a video that will help you kind of plan and figure out what exactly you want when you are ordering a new boat. So I don't care what brand you go with, but I want to give you some tips on how to approach that, because if this is your first time buying a boat, you're going to miss a lot. You're going to miss a lot of things if you don't have it properly planned out. And if you're used to buying boats, maybe this system will make that transaction and make those steps up to the actual day you get the boat, because there's boat choice, okay? I mean, simple things like just color, who you deal with when it comes to purchasing a new boat, ordering a boat. Are you going to buy one from a dealer, or are you actually going to have one custom built? And then the time frames that it can take before that actual boat gets to your dealer and you can pick it up. There's a lot between actually ordering the boat and when that boat arrives that you can do as far as planning. So by making this video, I'm hoping it's going to allow you, if you're looking at purchasing a boat or you want to know kind of the steps that I take when you're putting everything together, because there's so many parts and accessories and add-ons that if you would like to take advantage of those, it's going to help you be more efficient on the water in your boat this coming season, because there's a lot of awesome products that are out there that are going to simplify your life and hopefully alleviate headaches in the future. Because listen, things go wrong. And here's my point on brands. I run a Nitro Z21. And full disclosure, I am on, I guess you would call it the pro staff. So I do represent Nitro. I love Nitros. This is my third Nitro now. I purchased them through Bowers Marine, which is located in Reading, Pennsylvania, about 50 minutes from my house. They are awesome. They know how to rig a boat, and they know how to walk you through, the buying experience, to have a pleasant buying experience with those guys. You can't go wrong. If you are looking at a new Nitro, I would suggest going through Bowers, of course, because I've had nothing but good things to say about them. What brand you choose is totally up to you. If you go on the forums, whether it be on Bass Boat Central or Facebook groups, There's all kinds of platforms out there that'll allow you to gather information on people's opinions. And you have to decide what's best for you based off of the information that you have. There's going to be good reviews on every boat, and there's going to be bad reviews. It's just like a vehicle, Ford, Dodge, Chevy. Everyone's going to have an opinion, and you're going to find that it can be very overwhelming, even with trolling motors, electronics, graphs. So you want to find someone you can trust, and you want to take their opinion at face value and look into it. Really dig into the certain subjects that you want to explore if you want to be able to make the right informed decision. So with that in mind, I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to tell you my experiences with the different boats, with the electronics, with the trolling motors, to help you make a better buying decision when it comes time. So Nitro, the Z21, I get a 21-foot bass boat. I power it with a 250 Mercury Pro XS. That's pretty much a no-brainer for me. I love Mercuries. I'll always run a Mercury. I'll never switch. I'm just really, I guess, brand loyal when it comes to the motor. So a Nitro handles big water very well for me. I can roll out in some pretty big waves and not get soaked like I have in the past. I think the ride's incredible. I think the layout of the boat is incredible. There's not a whole lot of things I wish I could change when it comes to Nitro. The only thing I would really like to see different, and that's just my personal opinion, is the front deck it's huge, by the way, but it has 3 compartments. It has a middle compartment and then 2 side compartments. I would much rather have one big, giant compartment that just opens up and you can see everything you have. So the reason why it causes some issues for me is, especially when I first got into a Nitro, coming from a Legend bass boat, which had big compartment in the middle, was the layout and placing of your tackle boxes, your storage, your soft plastics, your equipment that you're going to take on your boat. That's been the challenge for me. I kind of know where things are now. You get used to it. Because oftentimes I'd open up one compartment and dig around and realize, okay, the stuff's in this compartment. Or, maybe that day I was off on my regiment in the morning storing stuff, and I wanted to grab my bag for my cameras to start filming and realize it's in this. So it's just kind of personal preference. I'm learning to deal with it. It's not obviously a deal breaker for me, but man, I would love to have that happen. That's really it. That is it. As far as the storage, layout, rod lockers, both starboard and port side, the back of the boat where your batteries and your battery chargers and everything's located, your power pole pumps, extremely easy to get at and work with, the back storage, the live wells, everything. And you're going to see that in the boat build. You're going to see me go through that. That's not why we're talking about this video. This video is specifically the steps I take with spreadsheets and planning when you're purchasing a new boat. So whatever brand you feel comfortable with, your next step is to find a reputable dealer to service that boat and to order that boat. So for me, having a dealer that's close to where I live is important. For regular maintenance or any issues that pop up, I don't want to have to drive 3, 4, 5, 6 hours to a dealer. And I know that's not possible for everyone, but that would be a major reason why I would go over one brand or the other. If I had brand A and they were 6 hours away, and I had brand B that was an hour away, and I was kind of looking at both models, both brands, I would probably pick the closer one for final decision. Now, Nitros aren't known for speed. You can get in that low 70s for sure, but there's going to be faster boats out there. But speed isn't a big deal to me. It's more stability, fishability, and can it handle the conditions that I fish on a regular basis. I'm offshore in big waves more than most. And so a boat that can handle that is really important. So the dealer you're working with is important. You want to form a relationship with them. You want to have a conversation with them over the phone and kind of feel them out. Find out, how they are as a dealer. Ask some important questions. How many of this brand do you sell in a year? If I have an issue, time frame, how many mechanics do you have as far as being able to get me back on the water as soon as possible? Those are all questions that you want to know beforehand, and you want to find someone that is a reputable dealer out there. So once you find the ideal dealer, you're going to want to put together your boat. And so they're going to go through pricing, they're going to go through different options, and it's really nice to have a dealer where you can actually either talk on the phone, maybe over the internet, on some type of Zoom call, or if you can actually go down there and physically talk to them and have a brochure, have the computer, have the internet in front of you, and so you can kind of go through all the different options. Hopefully beforehand you've already looked on the manufacturer's website and you kind of priced out boats. Most brands today, I think you can price out a boat and add the options that you want. I would have a list ready to go when you're ready to work with your dealer as far as putting in that boat order. Now, timing's another thing. For myself, because I get a boat every year, I start this process really in November. By the end of December is when I'd like to put an order in for my next year's boat. If I could get my order in by the end of December, typically by mid-February, that's when I can expect to see my new boat arrive. And then, of course, there's going to be a good couple days of rigging your boat that you want to have to plan for. So for myself, I don't really need to be on the water until mid-March. Early to mid-March, ideally, is when I'd like to have my boat ready and available. I do sell all my boats privately, so that's another thing you want to look at. I don't do trade-ins at the dealer. I find you're going to get a little bit better price if you sell it outright. Every boat I've ever sold has been on Bass Boat Central under the used boats. It's a well-organized, well-maintained website that has a lot of eyeballs, so I definitely recommend if you're selling or actually looking for a used boat to use Bass Boat Central. So as soon as I actually get my new boat, I will put it up for sale and just put a little disclaimer in there that this boat will be ready end of November. I feel like there's a lot of fishing still for me to be done in November, so I don't want to be boatless. But at some point, you got to get rid of it. And so by being able to sell it in or around November, December, that's the ideal time frame for me. Then I have a couple months where I don't have a boat payment, which we'll get into. So when I start looking at ordering my new boat, the first thing, I want to know if there's any changes from the year prior in the models. So in my Z21s, some years there's some changes, minor, some big changes. It all depends on the year. This year's model isn't too much different. They might have changed a few things on the trailer, little compartment, little extra toolbox, some things like that. But there wasn't a whole lot of changes. So I wanted to at least know what I'm getting myself into when I do get the new boat. So the things that I'm always going to keep the same, of course, the motor, Mercury Pro XS. I like 10-foot power poles. For me, the reason behind the 10-foot power poles is because I do fish a lot of 6 to 8 foot, which is a little bit deeper than, if you had an 8-foot pole, you're not going to touch in that 8.2 feet of water. It's just not going to happen. So in that 7, 8, 9 foot range, especially with a little wave action, I'm able to hold myself pretty good. One thing that a lot of people don't understand, especially, if you don't launch a boat, like I launch a boat every day, for the most part when I'm during the season, at the boat launch, it's so efficient for me to be able to back it in, take my power pole remote. I actually got one right here for some reason. It's because I'm getting ready for my new boat to come in. But and we're going to go over that. You're actually going to see the garage floor here. I got a mess, but it's a controlled mess that's going to be really important, making sure that process when you get to the dealer and you get all the stuff to the dealer that it all goes right. But anyways, the remote on the power pole is amazing. I literally will back the boat up, let it slide off the trailer slowly, okay, and then hit the down button. Deploys my power poles, and the boat just stays there. I don't even have to get out of my truck most of the time. Now, if I got a lot of wind and stuff like that, I'm going to, secure the boat a little bit better. I don't want it banging up against the dock. But quite oftentimes, you can get away with doing that, which is going to save you time. I don't know if you've ever been to a really busy launch. I mean, it can be crazy. And so I want to be really effective. And that's one of the benefits of having dual poles on your boat that a lot of people don't think about. Although the main reason is it allows you to fish cover, allows you to fish an area without having to use your trolling motor and really work apart whatever structure that you have dialed in. And so I want to go with the power poles. This year I'm going with the drift paddles as well. I've used them in the past. I kind of gotten away from it, but because I'm fishing some bigger tournaments this year, and there's some times when the drift approach is really effective, especially for smallmouth. I did decide to go with drift paddles this year to try. 10-foot blades, and then I also have the remote control. I have the control at your console, and then I also will have the foot controls at the bow for me. And so that's the power pole setup. Other products that I'll be getting from Power Pole this year would be the Power Pole Charge. And that's just a really effective way to manage your batteries and charge your batteries as well. And so I highly recommend the Charge system. We'll get into that more during the boat build and why I chose these things. I just want to help you understand the process for me is my list will be, okay, Nitro Z21, 10-foot poles, charger, drift paddles. These are the controls I need. Whether it comes with it or not, you have to find out. You have to go on the website or whoever you bought your power poles from. A lot of your boat dealers are power pole dealers. And so that's where you're going to get the best price. So utilize your dealer as much as possible. But if you'll see here on my spreadsheet and list, there's a lot of items I had to go and outsource and have either shipped directly to me or my dealer. Now, my poles and stuff, I send them right to my dealer. They know it's coming. That way I don't have to get them at my house, put them in the truck, take them to the dealer. Everything's there. And so that's a running list that I have that I want to keep track on. Now, as far as trolling motors go, this year I ordered a Lowrance Ghost, the middle size. I can't think the length off the top of my head, but it's not the 60-inch shaft, and it's not like the 48. It's in between. I'm guessing 52, 52, 53, 54. It's the middle size length, which is great for anytime you're in bigger bodies of water, bigger waves. I need that extra length to fish effectively. I'm not too concerned. If I had a short shaft, you can always move the trolling motor up, but you can't get more length. And sometimes in those big waves, man, that's where it gets real tricky. So I don't recommend that short shaft trolling motor unless you're down south or fishing a lot of grass and that's all you're doing. Then maybe that's the right trolling motor for you. But if you're diverse and you hit a lot of different fisheries, I think you want that middle length no matter what brand you go with. I'm not going to get into the reasons why I decided to go with the Ghost. I've tried a lot of different trolling motors. I'm always experimenting. That's part of what I enjoy as being an angler, is looking at different innovative products and testing them out and trying them out. I spent a lot of time on the Ghost, different forums on Facebook, and just reading opinions and comments because I wanted to also know, is there any troubled areas that keep coming up? And I'm going to take note. There was some concern about, are they really, they may not be as effective or as good in grass as other trolling motors. And so that was a key buzzword. Whether I agree with it or not, whether that's an accurate statement, I don't know. But I saw it enough to make note and realize that might be an issue for me. What can I do to solve that? And so that led me to having to order the Delta weed cutter. And so the weed cutter is a device that's going to allow me to get through grass. And once you have that, apparently, on the Ghost trolling motor, you're going to be able to go through that grass a lot more effectively, like some of the other trolling motors that you're used to. So these are always some things that I'm always looking at and pre-planning. Now, while we're on the topic of a trolling motor, there's a lot going on there, okay? Some trolling motors come with a strap in the box, a Velcro strap. I'm not going offshore without a strap on my motor at all. So I want to put that on my list. I need a trolling motor strap. I need that grass, the Delta grass cutter. That's now on there. Ashmore Marine makes the Lowrance Ghost wire keeper. So when you're wiring your trolling motor, instead of using electrical tape or zip ties, we can have a really nice manufactured system that keeps your wires in place and manageable. And so that was important to me. That was something that, where if you're not thinking about it and you don't know what you don't know, you're just going to get it. It's going to come to the dealer. You're going to hook up your electronics, and it may not be as pretty or protected throughout the season. So when it comes to the trolling motor, that's one of the most important pieces on my boat that I want to make sure works. I've been in too many big-time tournaments and made some crazy runs and have had trolling motors fall off the boat, break, not work when I got to my area. A lot of issues. So you really want to plan that accordingly beforehand. I also really like the troll tamers. And so as you see, I'm ordering all this accessories. I'm making a list. I'm building a list, and I'm ordering this before my boat even arrives at the dealer, because this is all the stuff I'm going to take to them to have them properly install it. And so one of the bonuses of doing what I'm going to show you what to do and why I'm doing it is that, like the troll tamer, I thought I did enough research when I ordered it. Turns out I actually got the wrong size. And it was my fault. So I called T&H Marine, and I'm going to be shipping this back, and they're sending me the proper size. And that actually happened to a couple other little things here. So the reason why I'm pre-planning is because I want to have everything I need ready to go without surprises when that boat gets here, so they can go to work and have it back to me quickly. So the troll tamer was important. Now, I did a lot of research on how to secure that Ghost down, and it led me to another YouTube video. I'm going to put that link in the description of this one because it was a really informative video about how to put the troll tamer on your Ghost without drilling into the bracket and utilizing the mount that it already comes with. So the troll tamer, in case you're not aware of what it is actually is a device that'll sit on the deck of your boat, and it'll lock that trolling motor in place. And the only way you're removing that is if you take your finger or your foot to bump it when you're deploying that trolling motor. Otherwise, it's locked down on your long runs. And what was cool about this video, they shared with me that you're going to need some cutting fluid, and you're going to need a tap drill bit to tap that. And they actually put the link on for the product, and you can order that right off of Amazon. And so, you know, my dealer might have this, but I don't want to take chances. I bought the two pieces that they recommended to use in order to put this on the existing mount on the Ghost trolling motor. So it's going to be a pretty easy, hopefully easily way for my dealer to put that in. And now in my list, I'm sorry, there's a lot going on here. So in my list of items I need, I'm also going to build a list that I'm going to print out and email to my dealer before my boat gets there. And in those dealer notes, we'll call it, we're going to come to the section where it talks about the trolling motor and how I'd like it to be set up. So I want the strap on. Make sure the strap's on. I want all, and I want to be as good as your dealer may be. The better you are and more descriptive you are, I think the better off you can be. So in the notes for my trolling motor, I'm going to say make sure you use every bolt hole available. You might get a dealer that's going to put 4 bolts in a 6-bolt trolling motor. Well, I want all 6 bolts. And, you know, there was another issue with the Ghost that I realized that if it's not mounted level, if it's not level on the boat, you're going to have a harder time deploying it, from what I'm hearing. So in the notes, I wrote, please make sure it's level, and a lot of times the tightness of each bolt sometimes has something to do with that. And so I want to make sure they're aware of some of the issues that I've seen on the website of people's opinions when it comes to this trolling motor. So hopefully we can get around those problems. I'm also going to send a link to the YouTube video about how to properly do this for my dealer. So if he's not aware of how to do it, he can look at that link. Just trying to make it easy for him. So another thing with that trolling motor, it's going to come with a prop, but you're always going to want a spare prop. Now, since this is a brand new trolling motor for me, I don't have a lot of Lowrance Ghost props laying around, so I had to go out and buy another prop, a spare prop. You always should have two props with it, and I'm sure this comes with the... yeah, it does. It does come with a pin and stuff like that, so good to know. And so here's also that Delta weed cutter, so when I get the box in, I open up every package that comes to my house just to make sure I'm familiar with it and all the parts are there. So the instructions are in here. There's that Delta weed grass cutter, flat black, awesome. I don't like anything shiny or silver on my trolling motor, so that was important to me to have it kind of that flat black. But it's going to be ready. It's labeled. It's going to go into another big cardboard box with everything that I drop off at the dealer. One thing that I forgot to mention, too, on the power poles, I use Russell Marine products. I use their light on the power pole. So your dealer or yourself can actually put this on the pole, wire it into your lighting, so when you hit your button on your console, it'll light up. You don't have to worry about that pole anymore, your light pole. I still carry that light pole in the starboard rod locker in case this ever fails. And I'll be honest with you, power poles going up and down throughout the year, I normally bust a light bulb or two. And most of it's human error. All of it's my fault. When I shouldn't have maybe hit the up button when I saw that power pole was halfway underneath the dock. Okay, so it is pretty indestructible for the most part. But if you fish every day, you might go through a light or two a year. I'm just being straight up with you. The times it has happened, I send an email to Russell Marine Products, and they tend to send me a replacement with no charge. So thank you. So electronics are really important when it comes to the way I fish. And so that's a big deal for me. Depending on what direction you go when it comes to electronics, what your style of fishing is going to determine how you go about it. I'm just going to explain my setup and why I chose what I chose. And we'll start at the console. So with Nitro for graphs, you can have them installed or not installed. I choose to have them not installed because I like to upgrade my mounts for the graphs. I use Bass Boat Technologies. And here it is. This is the mount for the console. This is a big piece of equipment. Heavy duty. Super, super strong. I've been using Bass Boat Technology mounts now for 3-4 years and never have had an issue. The only thing you're going to need to know, depending on what you go with. So if you want a single mount, they'll make single mounts, dual. But guess what? Now you got to know, especially if you're using different sizes or brands, which side to have it on. So for me, at the console, I'm running a Gen 4 Helix 12 Humminbird, and I'm going to be running the Garmin EcoMap 12-inch as well on the port side. And so he built this perfectly for where I want to have them placed. And there's a reason for it. So the reason why I run a Humminbird and a Garmin, Humminbird by far has the best side image, which is important for me to find the structure. Now, it's not an end-all, okay? Don't panic if you don't have a Humminbird. Garmin, Lowrance, they'll all work well. Their side imaging has come a long ways. Look at it this way. If you have a rock pile out there, that Humminbird will allow me to see every crack on that boulder. Where other electronics, you'll still know that there's a rock pile there, but it won't be as much detail. So I really like the detail of the Humminbird side image, as well as the down image. And then, of course, they do have a Lake Master map. So a lot of times when I'm running and I need a good map, I'll actually have my Garmin's up as well with their I think it's Lake View it's called. So believe it or not, some lakes are better than Garmin and some lakes are better with the Humminbird Lake Master. It really depends on the body of water. I like to run both because a lot of times one will show me something the other one doesn't. But for the most part, I like to have my starboard graph, the Humminbird Helix, with my mapping, and then also have, you know, the quick buttons on there where I'll be able to put the side image on there, things like that when I'm idling around looking for fish. Now, as far as the Garmin on the console, I still utilize 2D a lot when it comes to idling around looking for deep water fish. I love to see the old 2D arcs, and I'm really efficient at being able to pick out cover at a higher speed with that, as well as looking for big groups and individual fish straight down. Humminbird doesn't even come close with their 2D. Lowrance and Garmin are the way to go if your style of fishing is idling looking 2D old school sonar. With the chirp nowadays, you can really get things dialed in with those other two units, where I feel Hummingbird's just a little bit behind. So it's unfortunate, but I have to run two different brands this year. I'll have to have the Humminbird and the Garmin to get the best of both worlds, if that makes sense. Now, here's another thing you want to keep in mind. I knew that Humminbird was coming out with Gen 4. On my order, and you want to pay attention to this, there's some boat brands and dealers, when you're ordering your boat, they still might have a bunch of older units in storage or that they didn't sell yet. You don't want them to ship the last year's model. You want to make sure, if you're going to spend all this money on a boat and your equipment, that you have the latest and greatest if that's your goal. So I wanted to make sure the Gen 4 was coming on that, and it is. So I'm definitely looking forward to that setup. Okay, as far as graphs at the front, at the bow, where I'm doing my work, where I'm doing my damage, man, it's not overkill. Okay, it's not if you fish the way I fish, and let me explain it. I'm running, unfortunately, 3 graphs at the bow. I didn't want to. I'd like to have a little bit more room. I don't want to spend all that money. But in order for myself to have the best advantage that I can when I'm fishing offshore, I had to go with 3. And so let me explain it. The Garmin EcoMap Ultra 126 SV, I'm going to have 2 of them at the bow, and I'm going to have a Humminbird Helix 12-inch at the bow as well. So I called Bass Boat Technologies. And here's the mount that they sent me. Actually, even the gimbal mounts, everything is custom on these. So extremely sturdy mounts. I told them I want to have the 2 Garmins down here, and I want my Humminbird up at the top. And that's what we have. This is perfect. All the components are in the box as well. So my dealer is going to get this, take it out of the box, and they're going to know what to do with it. So let me explain why I went with that, and then kind of the details on how you want to plan that. I need to run 2 live scopes. I found that running a forward and a straight down view is most beneficial for the way I fish. You can get away with just 1 live view forward, but how I like to explain it is that live view that's always straight down, looking right below the boat, that's going to be like a magnifying glass of what's going on down there. So when I get around fish that I'm right over the top of and I drop my baits down there, I can see exactly how that fish acts to that bait. Like I'll see him come up, I'll see him swim around, I can see their fins, I can see so much more detail. You can still see it on the live scope forward, but not like you can straight down. So that's the reason for that. And then, of course, I always want to be looking. If I have to chase a single fish down, I can do that. And so my old setup last year was the 2 live scopes on my trolling motor. So you could put 1 on the shaft and then 1 down by the propeller of the trolling motor. And it worked out fine. There was no interference. It was awesome. This year I'm adding the Humminbird is an addition because I want to have the Mega 360. I want to be able to look for cover. I can find boulders and I can find rock piles and irregularities with the live scope. I certainly can. But remember, I am only seeing what I'm seeing with that foot pedal. Whatever that live scope is pointing, that's what I'm looking at. The 360 is going to make it easier as I'm going along and realize, oh, over here to my right, there's a cluster of rocks. Now I can point my trolling motor over there once I see them on the 360 and realize there's something there and use the live scope to see if there's actual fish. Now, I know you guys that are running just 360, you know, you can see fish on that as well. But now I'm seeing it in real time. I can see my bait fall. I can see how they react to it. It's going to be an awesome setup. I don't know. I can't think of a better setup or a better system than what I have going on right now with that initial setup. So once I knew what I was getting myself into as far as what graphs I wanted, so I ordered my Garmin's through Garmin, and I'm going to walk you through. Once you get your electronics, there's a little bit more a few more steps you want to do before you just drop them off to your dealer, because I want to know exactly how they work and what wires go to what and the setup. So with the 3 Garmin's, I want them all to be able to talk to each other, share waypoints, things like that. So it's not as easy as just buying 3 units and installing it. There's some extra steps that we're going to get into. Same thing with the Humminbird. So I actually called my dealer and asked him, if I'm ordering the Helix, did it come with the through-haul transducer? And what do I mean by that? So I need 2 through-haul transducers, one for the Humminbird, one for the Garmin. That's going to allow me to use my 2D as well as read depth and bottom content at a higher speed. It's also going to, of course, come with the side image transducers, just like the Garmin comes with theirs. But that won't read at higher speeds, and some of the transducers will only read side image or side view and down view and clear view, and not traditional 2D. So that's something you want to pay attention to. If you're ordering a setup like mine, it's going to be easy, because I'm going to try to put everything in the show notes here as far as what you're going to need in order to do this. I had to do a bunch of research and take a lot of notes and really get things dialed in, because, again, I don't want any surprises. So in order for me to run a Garmin EcoMap at the console, I need what we're going to call a Y cable. They call it the fiberglass boat adapter cable, the 12-pin and 8-pin transducer to a 12-pin sounder, because there's no way to plug in 2 transducers into your Garmin unless you have this cable. So the transducers for my console, it's the GT36 UHD trolling motor. This is a brand new, the UHD, the high definition, clear view and side view. This does not do 2D. Now the 56, I believe, does, but the 56 won't read at higher speeds. So I went with the Garmin GT8 in-haul transducer, which my dealer will put in the transom, which will allow me to do both. So here's the 2 transducers, and here's my cable that I'm going to need for that. So remember, at the back of the boat, below the motor, on the jack plate, I got a 12-inch Atlas jack plate coming. And that's another thing I got to talk about. When you order a jack plate, at least with Nitro, it doesn't come with a gauge. Now, for the last 2 or 3 years, I haven't had a gauge, but I got sick and tired of looking back. I don't move the jack plate a whole lot, but when I do, I like it to get, there's always a certain sweet spot. And looking back was getting old, looking at that little tape measure device that they have. So this year, I just went with T&H Marine's Atlas jack plates, where I bought it through their gauge. So I'm going to have my dealer install the gauge. And of course, that's going to be in my dealer notes as well. Hey, don't forget to install this gauge that's in the box. But getting back to this, so this transducer is going to be down by on the jack plate, the Garmin, and I'm also going to have the Humminbird. I went with the Humminbird on the starboard side and the Garmin on the port side. If you were only going to run 1 transducer for your side image, if you're not going to have 2 graphs, I would recommend mounting that on the starboard side. It's something with the prop and the turbulence sometimes can cause not as clear image if you're running on the port side. So I would suggest starboard. Of course, because I'm running 2, I have no choice. One of them will have to go on the port. One will go on the starboard. I don't see a whole lot of difference. I just know that some people have, so I want to let you know. With that in mind, these transducers are expensive, and so I want to protect that, because oftentimes you're maybe going around wood and stuff like that, and you don't want to bump it and break a transducer. So this is the company I use. They make transducer shaver and shields, brackets, mounts for these so they can fit perfectly on your jack plate. And once you install it, you're not going to, they're protected. Your transducers are protected. Side note, they're expensive. It's an investment. But it's very high quality, and they know exactly what they're talking about. If you want to give them a call and say, here's my setup, they're going to send you out the right setup. You know, one part of this whole planning, another issue I had, I ordered the wrong one. I thought I was going to get the GT34 for some reason in my head. And they sent me the 34 bracket. I realized it was the wrong one just days ago. My boat's not here yet, so thankfully I was able to call them, send it back, and then they sent me a new one. Think about it. If I didn't know that, or, you know, look at all the stuff I bought and just double check, I would have showed up at the dealer with the bracket that's not going to work, and we're going to waste some more time. So I got the right mount for the Garmin, and then I also got the right mount for the Humminbird here as well. All right, I have no idea where I'm at right now because, I mean, think about it. Without this list and what I have going on, and I'm trying to make this video even, it's getting a little confusing. So first of all, I want to thank you for hanging out, sticking with me here on this long video. But I'm trying to do it the right way to help you guys, okay? So bear with me here. One of the issues I had when I had the 2 Helixes ordered through my dealer is they were just going to send, and I didn't know this, I had to make a phone call. They're only sending me the Helix with the side image transducer. And so as of 2 days ago, I had to make an order and make sure. I called Humminbird directly and said, what do I need to do what I wanted to do? I want to be able to read depth at high speeds. I want my side image, and I want them to be able to talk to each other. And so they walked me through it. Of course, I had to spend more damn money with them, unfortunately. But I think I have the right setup now. So if I didn't do this investigating, I would have, again, shown up, and I would have been like, all right, glass the 2D pucks in. They'll be like, well, Trav, you only got the Garmin. Humminbird didn't come with it. Because I made a phone call to Humminbird just to double check, I realized I need the XP9HW through-hull transducer here. So I had to pick that up. I had to figure out if there's a splitter cable, which I believe there is, or this might be for the 360, because I'm also getting that Mega 360, so they said I need this. So they said I need an Ethernet cable. Actually, I need 2 Ethernet cables. And then I need one of these, I don't know, dude. ASEC15E12. 15-foot something for them to all talk to each other. So I'm hoping I have the right deal. I'm actually going to go through this and diagram it out so my dealer will have a piece of paper that shows that. So luckily, by doing the research, I hopefully have everything I need to make all those electronics talk and work together. So at the bow of the boat, the 2 Garmins, how I'm going to place those transducers, I'm going to have one on the actual trolling motor shaft, and then I'm going to have one on something called the right height turret. So this is the right height turret, and through my research, I found out that this actually mounts on the trolling motor, on the Ghost trolling motor. They'll actually mount on all different types of trolling motors. And what this is going to do is I'm going to put my live scope on here, and I'm actually going to have a foot pedal that will be able to turn this shaft here around. And so if my trolling motor's in anchor lock, I'll still be able to use this to look for structure and fish, which is going to be huge. So a live scope on here, and then a live scope on the trolling motor. So the only thing I'm actually going to have to do, I do like forward live scope on the trolling motor because if I have to track a fish, it's easier with my foot. With the trolling motor, I can, adjust speeds and direction of the boat in order to get a cast to that fish. If I'm just in that mode where I'm using the trolling motor, I'm not really on anchor lock a lot, then that turret will have the straight down transducer. If I am in anchor lock or I'm holding on structure and some wind, I'm going to then put it straight down, and then the turret will be forward view. So I will have to adjust that Garmin live scope transducer a little bit depending on the situations. So this is another thing I do want to mention. When I get my electronics in, I take everything out of the box, I get rid of all the extra packaging, I make sure everything's there, and then I start taping up all the wires for that. So I just use some of this tape here. It's electrical tape. It's waterproof. I've used it last year. It stays on, but it's different colors. And so my Garmin at the console, I'm going to write in the notes, this is my Garmin for the console, and I'm actually going to have the serial number written down, and I'm going to label the box. It's going to say Garmin console. And then every plug-in that it has, I'm going to put this green tape around it, which will allow the dealer as well as myself, if I'm ever out on the water and I have an issue, let's say for some reason the screen's not reading one of the transducers. Well, I can follow this back to wherever and see what plugs into what, because I got a lot of cords there with 5 graphs. I know green is console, red is Garmin up front, port side, blue is Garmin up front, starboard side. And so everything that plugs into, which I take out of the boxes and put in my garage, I'll be able to know where that cord goes. The, I don't know what they're called, the Ethernet cables, the power cord, all of that is color coded. Now here's another quick tip. I have 5 different pieces of electronics. I have a GMS 10, I believe, for my Garmin so they can read each other. And my transducers all have serial numbers. So I actually have another sheet of paper where I write down what it is, what the model number is, and what the serial number is, and save it on my phone. That way, if I ever have an issue, I have to call Garmin or Humminbird. They always ask for your serial number. I don't have to dig around and look for it. I know this is the console. Here's the serial number. I know you can just press buttons too. And I have all that information ready to go. It's going to save you some time. So putting the right height on the Ghost, since this is all new to me, I've done a lot of research. It should fit perfectly with the 360 and this. And remember now, I got 3 graphs stacked at the bow. And so we want to make sure there's clearance with that. So in my notes to the dealer, I'm going to say, before you put that bolt down on that trolling motor, you got to make sure, for 1, it's even. For 2, it's going to clamp into my troll tamer and secure it in place, and then all of these accessories have to be able to deploy without bumping or rubbing up against my electronics and vice versa. So I want to make that clear to my dealer. We got to make sure this stuff is installed perfectly without issues. So through my research, I realized that Ashmore Marine also made the turret wire harness. So I did purchase the wire harness. This is going to allow me to run my live scope wires on this device and hopefully not cause any damage to it throughout the year. So I did pick this up as well to go with it. And then the 360. Now here's the deal, guys. Because I'm running big water, that 360's a big piece of equipment. You know, 360 Humminbird should do this, but they don't. You have to go out and outsource this stuff. And I want to make sure that 360 is going to be stable. So I use a company called Boat Logics. I actually wrote it on the box for my dealer to see that when he gets to that note that says install the Boat Logics bracket to the Mega 360 to my Ghost trolling motor. And all this is a heavy-duty bracket that's going to support the 360 and my trolling motor. If you're in big waves, you have to do this kind of stuff. If that, listen, if you didn't do the research or know, your dealer's just going to install it like he's supposed to, and you're going to get out there in some big waves, and you're going to have problems if you can't secure your equipment down properly. So again, it's unfortunate that we have to buy more stuff, okay, but you have to do it. All right, we're almost done. We're almost done. We're on the home stretch here. batteries. We got to talk batteries now. Power to all this stuff. In the past, I used two AGM, X2 power AGMs that were parallel, and then I had two 36-volt, 40-amp-hour Lithium Pro batteries. I'm still working with Lithium Pro to find out what my next boat is going to have as far as lithium batteries, because I want to go all lithiums. I want to get rid of the 150 pounds of starting batteries. And because I'm adding a new electronics, another Hummingbird at the bow, I'm going to be using a lot of power. And so that was a whole another set of hours and hours of research in order to find out what the perfect setup is. But as of now, and you'll see this in my boat build video, once my boat comes, I'm going to do a whole walkthrough again with everything. And you'll have a better idea what I'm running with lithiums then. But I'll probably have two starting battery lithiums paralleled, and then I'll have two 36-volt batteries for the trolling motor. Probably two 65-amp trolling motor batteries. That's the direction I'm heading. So I'll have 4 batteries in the boat. Again, that power pole charge is going to work. What's cool about the charge system is it works with AGM or lithiums or all AGMs or a mixture. Doesn't matter. Lithiums are extremely light. AGMs are super heavy. Whatever choice you go with, you got to have the proper support with them. So Bass Boat Technologies makes these metal trays that I take out all the plastic trays. So my Nitro comes with plastic trays for their batteries. That doesn't work for me in big waves. I don't want them breaking. I don't want them cracking. I don't want to even have to think about it all year long. And so that's why I go with Bass Boat Technology metal trays. I use T&H Marine metal battery straps, okay? No plastic. Metal battery straps is what you need. And so I go with 4 of those, and they just take out the plastic ones. My dealer will take out the plastic ones, and we'll put all 4 of these battery trays in to make sure that my batteries stay where they're supposed to stay. Okay, you're running all this electronics. You need power. You need the right power. In order for those electronics to work perfectly, you need to have some really good wire supporting those electronics with your power source, with your batteries. So I called up the boys at Sea Clear Power, and they custom made me a wiring package for my boat. I told them exactly what I'm running. 3 Garmins, 2 Hummingbirds, a 360. I got 2 black boxes. I got this and that. We got to make it work. And so they put together a package for me. We're now, in the olden days, my last year's boat, I was on Amazon buying, certain gauge, trying to figure out what the best gauge wire is and buying it from Amazon or some, marina dealer. It was a hodgepodge. Now I know exactly what I have because it's right here. It's set up properly for everything, and they'll hook you up with whatever powering you need. And this is really important when you want to get that clean, crisp, clear image with your electronics. This is going to solve a lot of issues. And so it comes with a bunch of stuff. I'm not an electrician. I have no idea. But I'm going to open it up. I'm going to read the instructions. I'm going to have it ready for my dealer to deal with it. So something new for the year, Hydrowave. I've had this Hydrowave for 2 or 3 years. It just sat in the box. I never put it in my new boats. I'm going to try it. I don't know how you determine whether or not it works, but I thought it can't hurt, especially if you're around shad and you're fishing some offshore structure. Maybe, just maybe, it'll make a difference here or there. I just don't know how you judge it. So if we got some room at the bow with all that crap going on, I might install it. Like to hear your opinions in the comments below if you're still following me here on this video, if it's worth it. But I did go ahead with it. I want to test it out this year and see if it'll make a difference in my fishing. All right, so that pretty much settles it. So here's what I did on my list. So, of course, I wrote out everything. Garmin EcoMap, Garmin EcoMap, Garmin EcoMap, LiveScope, GMS 10, the perspective mount, 3 30-inch network cables, a GT36, a GT8, a splitter cable, Hummingbird 360. The 2 helixes were ordered through Nitro. So I have a list of all the electronics right here. Then the accessories. I'm just going to go through this with you guys real quick. the Bass Boat Technology trays and mounts, the T&H Marine straps, the T&H Troll Tamer, the Troll jacket, which is another jacket that I may need to help kind of protect the wires, the Atlas gauge, Mercury decals. So I like the blue Mercury decals to match the boat. So I had to have that on my list. Russell Marine product light for the power pole, Boat Logix 360 bracket, the 2 transducer shields, Ashmore Marine, Lowrance Ghost wire keeper, and right height wire keeper, the weedless prop, the right height turret, Sea Clear power, Delta weed eater, and then those other miscellaneous hummingbird items I had to purchase. Then I go through the lithium batteries. Then I go through what I'm keeping from my 2020 boat. So they have a leash, which actually protects you if your motor was to hit an object and come flying back into the boat. I have that on my old boat. I decided not to sell it with it. I'm going to take it off, have the dealer take it off, and put it on the new one, as well as the Mercury Vessel View. So I don't use the SmartCraft gauges. I use the Vessel View, which allows me to see it right on your smartphone. I'm just going to take that on my old boat, save some money there, put it into the new one. And then I have a list of items that I'm selling. So I sold my old boat with only 2 of the graphs. And so the other 2 graphs I'm going to sell outright. I have a couple lithium batteries I'm going to sell. I have a couple transducers, live scope transducers that I'll sell. And so I put this all together because I also need to know a budget for what I'm working with. So I have a list of what everything's going to cost me. I have a list of everything that I'm going to be able to sell this year. And then I take the difference and see what I need. And so when I look at that, I have an idea what kind of loans. So and I typically, because I get the boat at a discount, the Nitro boat at a discount, I'm able to take out a 15-year loan, keep my payments pretty reasonable, and at the end of the year, I'm able to flip that boat and pretty much break even with what I have invested in it, which allows me to keep getting a new boat every year. The only thing I have is basically a monthly rental payment, if you will, a lease, so $400 or $500 a month. But it's my business. I guide, I fish tournaments, I'm in that boat all the time, and it just works out perfect for me. At this point, this is kind of the system that I have. Now, not everyone can do that, and so you have to really look at the value of your boat, what you're going to be able to get out of it 2, 3, 4 years down the road, if you're going to keep it for a handful of years, based on the amount of hours, things like that. As long as you have your warranty, most motors come with a 5-year warranty, and you can buy extended warranty on that. As long as you got a good warranty and you can get that boat sold with 2, 3 years left on it, you shouldn't have a problem. You'll still get good value for that boat. But you don't want to keep falling short, and you don't want to get dug into the hole. Accessories are going to add up, and you might not be able to get that out of it. This boat, I did order it with a radio, a stereo system. I just like to have a little Bluetooth out there once in a while. It does work out for me, but if you're looking at flipping that the next year or selling it, you're probably not going to get the value out of it. A couple other things, the low profile rims, they look cool, the black rims and the smaller wheels. I go with standard. It saves me a couple grand by doing that, and I can go over a curb without damaging the tire or the rims and the costly repairs that it goes with. Plus, I'm traveling with this trailer constantly. Again, it looks cool, but dude, it's more issues than it's worth. Just go with, in my opinion, go with the standard looking tires. They serve the right purpose. You're going to be able to take some abuse. I mean, I abuse my trailer quite a bit, and so that's important to me. Boat cover. There's some different options. I want to make sure I have a cover that's going to fit over my 360 and your stacked mounts and things like that. So I had to upgrade that a little bit. I do go with 2 oxygenators for the live wells. Of course, the jack plate, the trim tab, the trim for the jack plate as well as for the motor, the hot foot, the standard stuff. And we're going to go through all that on the boat build. But I just wanted to work with you and let you know. So the list is really important. Having a check mark when things come in. You want to get all your equipment here before your boat shows up. So once you order your boat, it's time to start planning. All these stupid little accessories that you wouldn't think of, you got to put a list together because you would forget it if you didn't have some sort of list. And then again, once I get it all in here, I take it all out of the boxes. I mark things up. I make things real simple. I get a visual of how it's all going to be laid out before it even goes in the boat. Then I put together that list for the dealer, the boat build list, directions precisely on how I want things. You know, like these power pole foot controls. I let them know, wait till I'm there before we install those because I want them to be perfect to my liking. Also, the day that your dealer is going to do the install. For me, because I have a relationship with them, hopefully they don't mind me hanging around. I'm there that day because I want to know how things are put together in case I have to dig in there at some event or if I'm on the road and I have an issue. At least I saw it all go in. If you just pick the boat up with all this stuff on there and something goes wrong, you're going to have a little bit harder time trying to pinpoint or troubleshoot it, I think. So luckily, you know, I get to video the process too to make the boat build video for you. But I recommend if they allow it, you really should be there at least for some of this work and just make sure everything's getting done, you know, properly. What I want to look at too is color. We didn't even mention that. I tend to like blues, okay? That's just a cool color to me. I used to go black and blue with some silver. This year's model is going to be different than my last 2 or 3 Nitros. It's going to be a silver base with some blue highlight. And the reason why I did that is just watermarks. It seemed like black just showed a lot more watermarks. And hopefully I can get away with that with silver. So black hull, silver base with some blue highlight. Gray carpet, of course. I don't know. Jet black carpet gets too hot and brown shows a lot of dirt. So gray carpet, charcoal, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm probably forgetting some things. I know we went through this quickly, but dang, it's been over an hour. Wow, we made it through the video. This was a long one. I appreciate everyone sticking with me. I'm going to try to list everything in the show notes below. If you're new to the channel, I do a lot of fishing videos, tournament videos. We do a live every week as well. We bring in different bait companies, different techniques. My co-host Epic Eric is always entertaining as well as very informational. We got a lot of other things going on in the description. You can find out. Also, don't forget to follow me on YouTube, SmallmouthCrush. Just hit the subscribe button. Instagram, SmallmouthCrush. And I want to thank everybody for their support. And I look forward to bringing the Nitro Z21 Boat Build 2021 Boat Build video to you shortly. I can't wait to show you my new boat. And as always, until next time, we'll see you guys on the water.